Hey there, and welcome to Becoming a Bowhunter. I'm your host, Matty, and join me and our guests as we take the quality of meat back into our own hands. Searching the wild for free-ranged animals to harvest as ethically as we can. I interview a variety of specialists from the bow hunting community to help fast-track your journey as a bow hunter. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this chinwag on one of your favorite topics in the world, bow hunting. Guys, what is up? Welcome back to another episode. Sitting here today with Jarrah Tutton, who is a spearfisherman and very recent to bow hunting, a full frother of bow hunting. It's really quite cool to hear his journey and his transition into bow hunting and how much of a impact it's making on his life and how much he's really enjoying the crossover of both spearfishing and bow hunting and the worlds and how they connect. So this is a really good listen, really good for anyone who's interested in spearfishing but has never done it before. I think there's a lot of great insights, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Alrighty, bow hunters, welcome back. Excited for this one. I've got Jarrah Tutton with me. Jarrah, welcome.
G'day, Matty. How you going, mate?
Very good, mate. So you're the man behind spearfishing_international on Instagram, as well as Keep It Tropical. And we just reached out and started talking to each other, and it's something that I've actually wanted to have on because I know there is a lot of commonalities between spearfishing, what happens underneath the water as well as what happens above the water with the bow. And you so happen to be someone who does a mix of both and has just got into the bow hunting world recently. So I'm excited to kind of delve a little deeper into both of these realms and how they intertwine a bit.
Yeah, definitely. It's there's a fair bit of crossover, and I know, the old as above, so below, I guess. And I know a lot of good divers that are also bow hunters. So it's been something I've been intrigued and wanting to get involved in for a number of years. And I guess the timing was finally right. And kind of finally pulled the trigger and got involved. And now I'm hooked and probably trying to hunt more than I'm diving these days. So
how long have you been diving for? It's understandable, right? Like after you've had something and done it for so long that potentially when a new skill comes in, you're functioned on that a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I've always grown up, lived on the coast and surfed, and father was a big fisherman and diver as well. So since I was I remember being out and kind of swimming around with him as a grom while he was diving. And so, with a hand spear and, Kira Reef, or if you're familiar with the Gold Coast, and along Tweed Breakwall and stuff, they kind of progressed from there. And I know, I guess, kind of took it a little bit more seriously when I was living in WA for a while, and the diving is really, really good over there. So got to kind of, get a bit more involved with it, I guess. Yeah, but always kind of been in the water and around the water.
Yeah, man, that's incredible. I mean, really, you're an outdoorsman when you look at it, right? Like you're into your surfing, you're into your fishing, you're into spearfishing, and into your hunting. It's not like it's just it pretty much. And this is something that I've come to really discover. The more time I spend outside, the more time I spend doing these things. I don't know. It just fills my cup up. It just really makes me. It's like my happy place, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like me and a couple of boys, we kind of call it stoke mining, So you're mining, you're always, you're chasing that stoke, So
yeah, I love it.
It could be, whether it's surfing, you're chasing a swell, or, the weather's good for fishing, or, the veers and weather's good for your diving, or you're like, I've got a window and it's, let's go hunt. It's, you're never going to have a bad time. You could, it could be shitty waves, or you get no fish, or, you might not see any critters, but you're still out there kind of exploring, having a good time with mates, and kind of, feeling that primal urge for sure to try and put some food on the table.
Yeah, man, definitely. So tell us about Spearfishing International. How did it start, and what was kind of the purpose behind it to start with?
Well, I was working in WA at the time, up in Port Hedland, and doing shift work. So you'd have night shifts, and long days doing 12-hour shifts, and there'd be a lot of in-between time where you're waiting for permits or whatnot. So I had a group of guys that were all, keen divers, and it was only just started playing around with Instagram, and I just started kind of posting our photos and other friends around Australia, and just somewhere where we could kind of have it all in one place.
Yeah.
And then it was originally called Spearfishing Australia, and then kind of the more, I guess, I sussed out Instagram and who was on it, and then other mates that I've got in America, I just saw that, and there's so much kind of cool content getting out there. Mm-hmm. And I just started sharing it. I didn't start it for any reason to try and monetize it or, just push myself or anything. It was just kind of somewhere where we could promote spearfishing in a positive manner, I guess. And then, it's just kind of grown, and I've just kind of kept it ticking along. So, it's been all right. It's got me in, on a couple of good trips and met a whole heap of good people around the world through it. So, it's been a positive for sure.
Dude, that's awesome. I think that's it's a very similar story actually to the podcast that I started. Like, Becoming a Bow Hunter started because I was longing for more information and wanted to share it when I got it. And realistically, it's led me down this little journey of just meeting cool people from all around Australia and the world, and getting to talk and be actually like getting to go out on little trips and stuff like that as well. Like, it's cool just to meet like-minded people.
Yeah, for sure, and link up, and like you said, like getting that information as well. And I think, the more you can get, especially off guys that are been doing it for a long time, I think that information is just vital. So it's always good having a yarn with those fellas, and or even it's even better actually getting out with them if you can. Yeah,
definitely. And so, in regards to spearfishing, like I want to delve deep into it, because let's take it this route. And I've only ever gone out with a few friends that know nothing about spearfishing either. It was literally like we just kind of delved in off the rocks down south because we found a gun in the op shop. So we bought it when we were down in Bourne. So we
you wanted or something.
yeah, and pretty much just tried going for it. So take it this route. If you were to take someone who was completely brand new out spearfishing and had to explain it all from sort of scratch, where do you start, and what do you kind of long to take them out and do, I guess?
I guess, if I was taking someone out that'd never been in it, I'd just probably tell them firstly, I guess like some breathing, like some little how to breathe up, and kind of making sure that you're keeping in a visual contact with someone as well at all times, and never dive by yourself. That's probably like the main safety key with it. It can get pretty hairy, and a lot of people actually pass away from just blacking out and not being either by themselves or away from their mates. So it'd be that one, just like hang close, and then maybe some breathing exercises to slow the heart rate down a little bit and help them stay down a bit longer. And then just help each other team up and try and spot some fish and try and get them onto something.
Dude, it's really interesting you talk about the breathing side of things. I knew it was a big part of it, because obviously how else do you dive and stay down there for so long? But a lot of the breath work that I've done and teach people to do as well, it often comes with the warning of not doing it whilst diving. So there's obviously special protocols that you guys go through, because things like Wim Hof and stuff like that, where you're essentially putting a lot of oxygen, you're over-oxygenating your blood system, is not really good for, even though it makes you hold your breath for a long amount of time, it's not great, because it can also make you pass out more easily when you're underwater. So when it comes to that side of things, like, what is kind of a bit of a method around it, I guess?
Well, there's we've all got a thing called mammalian dive reflex. So it's all around our eyes. It's basically receptors that lets our body know that we're in water. So if, say, we'll take someone, put a heart rate monitor on them and go, okay, hold your breath. Their heart rate might be, say, 60, just for instance. And then if we were to do the same thing and put their face in ice water, basically you'd see their heart rate start to drop. So when you're in the water, your body knows, but what you want to be doing is what I try and do is double my exhale. So if you're doing, say, 3 seconds to your belly, 3 seconds up to your diaphragm, your top of your chest, and then you try and do you try and do like 10, 12 seconds exhale. That's just nice and smooth. And then just do that again. And then before you dive, maybe 1 or 2 one or two good breaths, solid breaths, and then down you go. But there's all kinds of different ways to breathe. That's just how I kind of got taught off a fella a while ago, and it's always worked for me. But there's a lot of, like, I'm not definitely the deepest diver, or definitely don't have the longest breath hold.
Mm-hmm.
But I get good enough to get my fish. But I've got a couple of mates like Brandon Whalers and a few other fellas. He's over in the States, but yeah, man, he's like, I'm pretty sure he's got gills somewhere. Like, they're doing massive dives. Yeah, it's crazy. Like diving with those guys, like, oh shit, they're still down there. Like, they're right.
Yeah, and so really, a lot of it is based on introducing your parasympathetic nervous system, so your rest and digest state, right? Based on what you've just said, because that's literally like a lot of stuff we go out and teach people. Like we go to like workplaces a lot and teach literally how to breathe, because so many people are so stressed and they breathe short and shallow.
Yeah,
and
super shallow. Yeah,
locks up their shoulders, locks up their necks, and they get these just get like headaches, tension headaches all the time, just from not breathing correctly. So teaching people just how to breathe, and that's one of the methods we teach them, is just literally double the exhale to the inhale. And what it does is it helps them to firstly use their diaphragm to breathe if they're using their nose for breathing more often, but then also activates their parasympathetic nervous system, so it relaxes the body in total, because it's really just like, it's the most chill state you can be in. So I guess when you're underwater, that's essentially what you're trying to do, right? Just be relaxed.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about, slowing your heart rate down. So I think that doubling your exhale actually helps to reduce your heart rate. Mm-hmm. So if you have a lower heart rate, you're staying down a lot longer. You're kind of not burning as much oxygen, and being efficient inside the water as well. So, keep making sure you're going straight down on your descent.
Not across
until you kind of get to an area, and then you can veer off, and then also weighted properly. Your fins are correct. And then one of my favorite things about diving or free diving is when you get to a depth and you're negatively buoyant, so you end up just free falling.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that could be up to 10 meters, and if you're dropping to 30 meters, those last 20 meters, you're not moving at all. So you're trying to spend zero or as least amount of oxygen you can, and then get to the bottom and lay on the bottom. And then that's kind of, so you basically just still, and then that kind of gives you a lot more time down there. So as soon as you start to react and kick or anything like that, that's your oxygen levels are gone. So it's all just about slowing everything down.
Dude, that's hectic. So when I did my diver's course, like scuba diving course, you had to come up, and I can't remember how far it was, but it was like once you went past a certain distance, you had to spend 5 minutes to it's kind of like re-buoyancy your lungs so they don't pop when you come out to the top.
Yeah, so each atmosphere is got to spend a certain amount of time. I haven't done my paddy dive course, but I'm pretty sure every atmosphere is a certain amount of time that you got to spend there.
And so that's not something you guys
decompress.
Decompress, exactly. So that's not something that you guys really have to worry about then at 30 meters.
No, because that's on like I don't know. That's like, because it's the compressed. It's a mix, so that actually expands. So from what I've been told, like if you come up, that expands in your lungs. But because we've just breathed in basically just natural air from the surface, it's you're fine. You can rock it up as quick as you can.
Yeah, got you. So because it's not fake oxygen, essentially,
nitrous oxygen, whatever their mix is. Got you. That stitches. Yeah.
And so when you're going out spearfishing, is it kind of like essentially like when we go out bow hunting, you're going out hunting species essentially? Is it the same sort of thing where you're looking for certain terrains, you're looking for certain, obviously animals and fish grow in different spaces around Australia, but is it kind of similar, like you're looking for a certain terrain as to what they might enjoy and like?
Yeah, definitely. Like, from, I guess, for instance, like, around Tweed Heads and that, where I've grown up, you might be going out and some of you, chasing mackerel or, you're trying to get some dewies or kingfish or something. And you're just looking for that ground that might hold that type of fish. So, and then also when you're chasing them, I guess it's the same as hunting in that way, that crossover where you're trying to utilize your environment to be able to either approach or get closer, or, you might see a little ledge, feel like, that looks like really good ground. I'm going to dive on that again, go back up, breathe up, drop on that again, maybe come out from the sand and swim into it, and just trying to utilize the environment so you can get closer to the fish and pick where they might be. And yeah, so it's the same thing. A lot of similarities for sure.
Yeah. And when you're kind of down there, like as you're swimming down, do the fish kind of stir much when you're going down towards them, or they're not too phased by it?
Yeah,
usually?
no, they do. Like some fish are super flighty. Obviously
like
not.
Jewfish.
Not
Jewfish are called the ghost fish, right?
Yeah, they are. They are, and then they are and they aren't. It depends where you are as well. I guess it could be the same as your critters and deer and stuff. So they've been, if it's a block that's been hunted a lot, it's a place that's been a lot of divers on it, the fish will definitely be a lot more flighty. Or you go to somewhere, Exmouth or some remote reefs, and you swim down and the fish are kind of looking at you like, oh, they're definitely not as flighty. You can tell those areas that get fished hard.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you can just be lucky. Same with hunting, you just come around a corner and
it's just
something's sitting there. So you're like, happy days, take it.
And so a lot of those fish you were talking about before, especially around where you live, like kingfish, jewfish, and your mackerel, like they're almost like a sport fish, right? Like they're a fish that are known for their speed and they kind of chase things a lot and hunt them down. When it comes to you actually shooting them, are you, like I saw actually a video on your page recently where they dropped a fish in to get the fish to come and then they shot it. Is that something you're trying to do? Like you're trying to burley up the area or bait them anyhow, or not really?
Yeah, like say kingfish or Spanish mackerel or most pelagic species. A lot of tuna or wahoo, dogtooth tuna. You can use flashes as well, so it's like an attractant. You might have it in the mid-water.
Yeah.
So say you're in 20 or 30 metres, you kind of put it in the middle of the water column.
Yeah.
And then they can come in, but then also, using chum, burley, so you get a burley trail.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes they can just come up to the burley and they'll just be like chum dumb. They'll just be eating the burley and just be happy. And you just cruise down and put a shot in them a lot easier.
Yeah. So
that's, all your pelagics, that's all mid-water fish. And then you can do blue water as well, which is like all your marlin and everything else, where you just kind of just drift along with your mates and, might be over a pinnacle or a ledge and, you're waiting for those fish to come in. You pretty much don't even have to really dive down. You can just see them come in, then do your drop. But then other stuff, like your jewfish, snapper, other reef fish, coral trout and all the rest. Yeah, that's more like doing drops to the bottom and then kind of scouring around on the bottom.
Yeah, okay. And so it's not much for you to drop to 30 metres? Like that's pretty easy to do?
That's pretty much as deep as I dive. That's my limit of my dive ability. I know a lot of other guys, they go deeper, like some guys in Europe, they'll spearfish to 60 metres, but it's, they're just crazy.
Insane,
so that's my max. And then kind of, I enjoy from, cruisy 15 to, 25's pretty, enjoyable. But if you haven't, it takes it out of you. Like if you haven't been diving a lot, I haven't been diving much this year, but if you go out and do a day of punching a 20, 25s, like you're wrecked, eh? Like,
yeah, actually, I heard a Meat Eater podcast on this, and they had some stats around the actual calories, like the extra calories you burn. And they were saying that it's literally like the sport that burns the most calories is diving, like free diving is one of the things that will just take it out of you.
Yeah, for sure. And then a lot of the times you don't really want to, you're not really eating either because you don't want to fill up your stomach and then cramp or, you just kind of, it's kind of weird. You don't really eat when you're on a dive trip. So you definitely burn a few. So you definitely enjoy the tinnies at the end of the day.
Get away with it. And so like what sort of distances have you seen a freshie come in and do? Is it often that they'll come in and do the 30 metres or 25 metre drops with you straight up, or they're usually not as confident with that?
Nah, it's pretty like, I don't know, there could be I know people that have just come in pretty straight out of the blue, like, and dove 20, like straight up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like that confidence in the water. Like if you go down 30 minutes, it's a long way. Like, it doesn't seem it, but when you're under that water, like to get comfortable and to be able to kind of hang down there and and just keep going past a certain depth and not kind of get a little bit agitated with it, I guess. But yeah, I've seen some people, diving not long at all and smash it. But also I always say to everyone, like, I've started diving, this and that. I'm going out, I'm trying to go deep. I'm like, just go and do your level 1 free dive course.
Yeah.
Just do that. And then that'll just give you all the little cheat codes to know what your body's kind of doing when you're diving and to be able to notice things, that are happening, positive things and negative things, so you can actually kind of dive safer, because it is a pretty dangerous sport. Like a lot of guys do pass away every year and black out and kind of get obviously revived. But it's a tricky one. And it's an individual thing too. Like someone could be super fit and have awesome lungs and just be able to hold their breath for 3-4 minutes straight up with no dramas at all. And then someone else might be, only a minute. It's totally an individual thing.
Yeah, definitely. And so that course, is it available just like as an online type piece, or is it something you have to go do in person?
No, you get to go and do in person. There's a lot more popping up these days. I did one with a guy, Mike Wells, years ago, but there's a bunch in Australia, and it just teaches you kind of that fundamentals of your human anatomy, what's happening, and a lot of safety around it as well. So
definitely,
it's worth doing. I think they're about $300, but you get a day or two of that. I think it's like a day in the pool and a bit of prac, and then I think you go out and try and hit 20 meters on your level 1. So if you can do that, then you're good to go.
I'm sure it'd give you a lot of confidence too, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's just that, the confidence, and then those little things to know. And another thing I always say is, you can, hold your breath 3 minutes on land. You're basically half that or less. That's what you're going to be your dive time spearfishing.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's that much of a difference.
Far out. Why?
I don't know. I guess if you're doing a static, say in a pool or on the couch, and you hold it 3 minutes or 4 minutes, if you're not kicking, you're not going down, you're not looking, it's you're not at pressure or at depth, so your body's under a great amount of pressure if you're 20 or 30 meters, a few bars or atmospheres down, and then but it's just different. So you just want to don't think, I've done 3 minutes on the couch, I'm going to go out and punch it down. It's like, it doesn't work that way.
How about equalising on the way down? Like, I know definitely when I was doing scuba, it was like you had to stop, equalise, keep moving. Some people use the block the nose method. Some people can just do it just by simply doing like a swallow, and that would be enough to equalise. Is that kind of same goes for you?
Yeah, same goes. So what I'll do basically, I'll be breathing up, and then just before my last two big breaths, I'll kind of hold my snorkel so I kind of don't get any water in it, because normally you're taking the last 2 big breaths, like your little wave comes over and you fucking take in water and it gives you the shit. You're like, fuck, I'm going to breathe up again now. But I'll hold that. And then last 2 big breaths, and they'll equalise on the surface. So it already puts in that basic little buffer for my ears, and then I'll dive down, and then I'll just kind of equalise as I feel on the way down. I'd rather equalise before it gets kind of that pressure gets too much, because you can hold it and then you try and equalise, and then it won't. Well, you won't equalise, and then you got to stop and swim back up. And then some days I've been out and one of your ears will just block up halfway down, and you can't unblock it for ages, and you're like, fuck, like seeing this trying to do it, and then it might take like 5-10 minutes, and it'll pop, and you're like, all right, I'm back on, good to go. And that's like, it's really bad. You can't dive if you got a cold or the sniffles or any sinus or allergies and stuff like that. So you kind of,
would it wipe you out for the whole day if you had just a blocked nose, for instance?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you'd be done. Like you wouldn't be able to get past a certain depth. Your head would just feel like it explodes. And then sometimes I've seen it a bunch, and I've had it happen to me a couple of times where you might have that little sinus thing, and you push through, and then you'll come back up, and your mask will be half full of blood because you actually
wow.
you'll burst a bunch of capillaries, inside your kind of sinuses, I guess. So,
full on.
It's like a big like blood snot in your mask. It doesn't really hurt or anything. I don't think it's too bad, but it's just it's like I'll push it a bit much.
And how about the old sharks? The thing that would probably scare a lot of people from even going in the water. And it's interesting. Like people often say to me, "How do you surf?" Like knowing that there's sharks out there and that there's shark attacks all the time. I'm like, well, you're in. It's like, how do you do anything? you're in their world. Like things like that are gonna happen. But at the same time, you just need to respect them. I think you can't, I guess, go out there with a fear of them the whole time, because then you think about them and that's all you worry about, and you don't have a good day doing that.
Yeah, I think most of the times I dive, I think there's more sharks in my head than there are in the water. When you first start, like, you might get out of it cold, it's murky, and you're like, why am I doing this? This is like, so I'm so over it. And then you do like a 1 drop or 2 drop and you get comfortable, and then, you're feeling a bit more in tune with it. But a lot of the good places where you're going to get fish is where you find the sharks also. So you kind of get used to kind of picking up on their temperaments in the water. And a lot of, 99% of the time they're just cruising, come in, check you out and bail. They know you're not a fish. A lot of the ones that are kind of lurking around, like the spots that get fished a lot, or especially get hit hard with fishers, as soon as you might not see any sharks, and then as soon as you pull that trigger, there'll be like 5 or 6 sharks out of nowhere. Like they're like just hanging just out of your view, just waiting for you to shoot something.
Do you reckon it's the scent or the sound?
The sound for sure. Yeah, just bang. As soon as that gun goes off, they're just like straight there.
Yeah.
But then that's why you always, I only try and dive with a kind of pretty tight group of crew, and it's always just got each other's backs, one up, one down. So if you shoot a fish, your mates normally will dive down straight with you, and he'll hang around that fish. And if you're around that fish, majority of the time those sharks won't come in for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can pull it up and you kind of secure that fish. But if they get it, they kind of, they'll just Sharknado it and end up losing your shaft. And, they're not cheap. They're like $80 each. So you're pretty over it.
Yeah,
definitely. So, and then I've had a lot of, sometimes you just move spots. Like we've seen sharks up off Exmouth, and I had a big lure in its mouth and all this line, and they're like pissed off and angry. So you're like, all right, stuff this spot and get in the boat and boot it 10 minutes to another spot. And then that shark will turn up like half an hour later. Like it must follow the boat. They're out of control up there. It's like, what? Like, just trying to rinse every fish you get. So,
dude, that's intense. Yeah, I've actually, like up here at Brizzy, I've got a few mates that go out fishing out near Moreton. And they said that pretty much every like well-known place out there, as soon as you get fish on, it's just a shark fest, and they'll always they'll pull fish up quite often with half a head left, sort of thing. Like the sharks just get to them as soon as they're there, which is pretty interesting, right? Like it's like they hang out just in the level above rather than being right down in the bottoms.
Yeah, they've definitely learned. Like they know what a fisho is. And they bite that. The majority of they would bite that fish perfectly behind the gills.
Yeah.
So they take all the primo and you just wind up a head. And it's like, what the hell? You're not really doing too much with that. But yeah, there's a lot around. And then around this home, there's been a lot of whites as well. Like obviously seen the shark attacks and surfing. Like the same thing. Like I get asked like, oh, you must be so scared diving. I'm like, I'm probably more kind of freaked out surfing some days in some of those spots, and there's only one guy, a couple other guys out or something. It's murky, and
I was actually going to say the same thing. And I think I prefer to be under with the spear, like looking.
Yeah. At least I can see. I've got like massive fins on. Like my kind of, I'm putting off that predatory kind of vibe in the water, and they normally will just come up and look at you like, what the hell is this? Like I don't really want to deal with it. It looks a bit sus,
Yeah.
So they kind of tend to leave you alone, and except unless there are some cranky bull sharks out there. But there's just surfing. You just kind of just flapping around on the surface. You just never know what's gonna jam you.
You kind of look a bit more like a fish from underneath, right?
Yeah,
Using
definitely.
the board with some paddles. It's like the fins out the side.
Yeah, and they always, yeah.
You actually just said before, have you had any like close encounters yourself, like scary close encounters with sharks or?
Well, nothing like super crazy. Had them like they rush in, you kind of poke them off. I had one like round up me and a mate, and it was over in WA, and just kind of like trying, just coming in aggressive, and we were about 100 meters away from the boat. We swam like kind of shoulder to shoulder and started swimming back to the boat. It was just coming at us and following us, coming back at us, following us. That was probably one of the worst ones, but definitely seen a lot, and had a mate, Rick Bateau. I've got a guy from up in Cairns. He got jammed, I think, when was it? Start of the year, end of last year, on his leg up near Cairns. So he was out diving, which is pretty bad, by a bull shark, but he survived, which was lucky. But
so what? Just took a bite.
You just never know, I guess.
That was
I think he'd shot up there when you're on the reef, like you shoot a reef fish, and sometimes they can reef you, so they'll go under a ledge, and you can't really get them out, so you got to breathe again, go down, and you kind of get under the ledge and physically pull them out.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure this is from the story told. I don't know 100% this is what happened, but from what I'm told, he was doing that, and it's kind of just come in. He would have, seen all the action that's just come in, bang, put a bite on him, and then that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Far out.
Yeah, it does happen, but it happens to surfers and swimmers and stuff.
Dude,
probably way more often, compared to how many spearos are out there. So.
The other thing that you said that really kind of tweaked my interest was the temperament of sharks, but I would imagine that fish kind of have temperaments as well, right? Like you almost have to look out, and it's almost the same with when you're going out hunting game, right? Like you're looking for their ears, you're looking for the way that they're functioning. Like, are they actually eating, or are they pretending to eat? Are they just have they got someone with eyes cast on you? A fish kind of the same, or not really?
Yeah, I guess it's just you want to be sneak up. They're definitely not as, I don't know, switched on as your land-based kind of critters and stuff. Yeah, the game, like those things, like. And the first time I saw a deer and kind of reacted to him, I was like, "Oh, holy shit! This is going to be a lot harder than I imagined." But there's definitely different fish have different temperaments, like snapper and other kind of reef fish like that. Can as soon as they see like bang, they're gone. Like big MS, like Mary sea perch or yellow lip and other stuff. And they're the ones that are super tricky to try and hunt. You got to if you see them go around a bomber, you got to try and sneak down the other side of it. And then you could have other fish that just kind of swim up to you to have a look like what you are, just like kingfish, So, curiosity, and especially to the flasher or anything like that. And then you just it's kind of easy game.
Yeah. Okay. And then is there fish that you still kind of really would love to chase?
I just love dogtooth tuna, chasing them. I'm going on a trip again. I've done it like the last 5 years to Scott Reef, which is it's pretty much in the middle of Broome and Indonesia. So you leave from Broome and it's about 350 k's straight kind of north. Yeah, it's awesome place out there. But it's getting big dogtooth tuna. They're just mental. Like as soon as you hit them, and they're just so powerful. Like you have the strongest gear, like 2 floats, 90 pound pull and 90 pound pressure each. And they'll just rip 2 floats straight under and just, snap your, steel cable on the reef. Like they're super hard to land. So you got to put a good shot on them for sure.
So a good shot being one that's like a spine shot or a head shot or something? Like what's a
good shot's spine, and just when you just roll them, which is like hits the spine, they just go bang, belly up. But otherwise a good holding shot, which would be like kind of mid-body, and getting it underneath, like the bottom side of the spine. So if you shoot high above the spine, that's it, you basically your spear or your line will just tear out the back.
Yeah.
But if you can get it underneath, it'll kind of go in, hook on the spine, and get a good holding shot, and you can retrieve them.
Yeah, far out. And so a big fish like that, pulling your boys down, like once it's gone under, is it pretty much gone, or do you get a second chance at it? What's the deal?
No, well, yeah, if you got a good shot, obviously depending on the size of fish, could pull your floats down. Float will pull up, and then generally, like after the first run, they might pull them under for a bit, and then they'll pop back up.
Mm-hmm.
But then it'll be running in one direction, so they'll be like skittering along the surface. So you like hand over hand, like swimming after them.
Yeah, wow.
And then you'll get onto your floats, grab your floats, and then you get onto your float line and start pulling on that, and then you kind of fight the fish. And then normally you'll have one of your mates will come and put a second shot on it.
Yeah, okay.
So then, so as you're getting it, they'll kind of go down second shot, and then the fish is secured. Normally, that second shot you can get close, so they pretty much put a spine shot on them, hopefully.
Yeah.
Although I've seen a few good ones, put a second shot on it, they go mental again. You're both getting tangled up, and it's always funny.
Far out. I believe one of the guys I used to train, his dad, holds the record for. I don't know which tuna it is. I think it was is it a blackfin? Is that a tuna outside of New Zealand, like off of the South Island?
No, I'm not sure. It might just be like big southern blue. Oh no, big bluefin or something. Maybe
bluefin, maybe it is. I don't know. But he held the record. I don't know if he still does for fish speared, like largest fish speared in the southern hemisphere at least. With that tuna.
Yeah.
And
that's
so
it. Yeah, some of those.
Oh,
I
was going to say, it was there's some crazy rules around it. Like, he had to shoot the fish and had to retrieve his own gun if he wanted to use a second gun from the boat himself. He wasn't allowed to have the boat, follow him around or anything. And so he shot the fish and it took off underneath the water and took off with his boys. He had to swim back to the boat, grab his second gun, go out after it, took a shot, and then had to go back and retrieve a third shot before he could make it all happen.
Yeah. So if you want to claim a record, no one else can touch your float line,
mm-hmm.
and they can't load your gun. They can't. Yeah, your second shot, they can't take your second shot. They can pass you your other gun, but then you actually can't get back in the boat either.
Oh, got
so
you.
You kind of So I think there's been a few where I don't know. I think if you get back in the boat, that's fine, and then you can find your float. So that doesn't really make a difference, but. There's a few different little rules like that kind of can disqualify you from claiming a record for sure. But it's pretty gnarly. Like if you shoot a big fish and it just takes off, you're like, man, you got a pretty big swim, launching after it. And that's hopefully you got. It's all teamwork, So if you got a mate next to you, if you shoot a big fish, normally you come up because your big guns have breakaways, so that your gun's not attached to any of the lines. So as soon as you shoot, that all threads out, and then that gun's free floating. Okay. So if you come up and you're fighting those floats, you normally put the bands over your shoulder, so the guns you got two hands free. Otherwise, if you got a good dive buddy with you, he'll just grab that gun off you and he'll carry it, and then he'll swim next to you. And then normally, if you're getting under the fish and it's a good fish, you want to do it all, he'll if you dive in blue water, sometimes you'll have one big gun and one's like a real gun. Yeah. So that's got no float line, so nothing can tangle up, and you just share them, and then they'll just pass you that gun and you get your second shot. So it's all teamwork, like spearfishing. It's I swear you're only as good as your mate next to you half the time in the water.
Yeah, wow, dude, that's awesome. It sounds incredible. It's definitely something that I'm very interested in getting into. It's I don't know. There's just, like we said, so many common sides to. Yeah, above and below.
Yeah, for sure. Like guys like Trav, you heard Trav Hogan. He's from up in Cairns. He owns Enrich spearfishing.
Oh, anyone yes, out there wants
to get into support a good Aussie spearfishing brand, and he's also a hunter. Check out Enrich spearfishing. He's up in Cairns, so he's right into his bow hunting now, and he's a mad keen diver. Obviously, owning his own spear gun brand, but I'm always razzing him up. I'm like, let's go. I think he's got a couple of chittle blocks up there now. I'm like, come on, let's take us up there. Let's go dive and then let's go hunt. He's like, I don't know.
Good to do on both days.
There's a lot of good people. And then a lot of the Hawaiians as well.
That's what I was going to say. The Hawaiian guys are the ones I've seen the most of. Yeah.
Hunt. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like some pretty cool days. Yeah. You hear interviews with them where they'll go out and do both in one day. It seems so cool.
Yeah, that would be the dream. I wish would someone come and release a few deer around where I am. So then, be able to do that in the same day. But because I think the closest deer from me is about 3 hours, 4 hours, or something like that. So
yeah,
a bit of a mission.
We are, I've actually been down. Like we run our health retreats down near you at the Pocket, and it looks like it's perfect deer country, but there's just not deer, right? It just looks incredible for what they would grow and thrive off of, especially like the amount of rainfall they get down around there. Like it just seems like it's perfect, but it's just not, unfortunately.
Yeah, like around mine's like beautiful rolling hills, like gullies, farmland. Like I'm half the time I'm driving around like glassing, but I'm I wish that were around here. It'd save so much fuel money.
Yeah, definitely. So, dude, tell us about. I would like to actually. Oh, actually, before we do, camo on in the water. Like, does it help or does it not? Like, does it make any difference having a camo suit, having a blue suit, having a black suit? Like, what's the difference? Is there any at all?
I went through a stage and I was like all about, good camo. And then I've worn black suits too. And I swear I couldn't notice the difference.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't think it works that much. I think it's about how you're kind of acting in the water as well. The fish kind of know there to just understand. So yeah, I think reef fishing you can use the camo's good, but I don't think it makes as much difference or as important as bow hunting.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So what I just switched my video off. I might get you to do the same, just because it seems to be lagging a bit. If you can figure that out. But what I did want to ask you about was actually your bow hunting and how you kind of stepped into that realm. And we've already talked about this a bit. So I'll try and act surprised again, but I think you've got some pretty cool stories.
Yeah. Geez, I guess my first hunt.
Well, how'd you get into it? Who got you into it?
I went up to Red Hill. I guess that was kind of, I don't know where I fit. Oh, how did I get into it? Yeah. Well, I've always wanted to kind of get into myself, like for bow hunting. Like my dad used to take me like shooting and rabbiting, and I had a neighbor who he had ferrets, so we go out and like hit the rabbits and foxes and stuff. But
no way.
I've just always kind of
he had ferrets that were trained to go after
and get my own meat.
Sorry, I have to interrupt. Did he have ferrets that you'd go and
the rabbits? Yeah,
chase rabbits with?
No, you're right.
There's a bit of lag.
Yeah. So you go out and you put the ferrets. You put the ferrets down the hole, the rabbit hole, into the warren, and then they'd basically chase the rabbits out, like that, scare them out, and then you put these little nets over the hole, so they've got a drawstring in them.
Yeah.
So as that rabbit hits the net, it basically tightens the drawstring behind it, and then you just walk up and give them a little tap, and then chuck another net on as quick as you can, because normally once you scare all the rabbits, you just got them flying out every hole. So it's pretty good.
That's crazy. And so what happens to the ferrets then? They just kind of pop back up?
Yeah, they normally just trot back out. Yeah, give them a call. A couple of times, like they'd either get like a young rabbit and they'd kind of eat them down there and then just go to sleep down in the warren. So they'd be all nice and warm and had a feed. So me and my mate would be out there kind of screaming down, and then there's no mobiles back then. Then you just get whistles, and the old man would come driving out in the dark, kind of yelling at names like, "We're over here, the bloody ferrets are still in the warren."
And so what calls did you have for your ferrets?
You just whistle.
Yeah, okay.
So I guess they were mates' ferrets, but you just whistle them. It was ages ago. It would have been like 10 or something. But just whistle or just yell out to them. They'd come in. Yeah,
that's
come back
crazy.
Up.
That's so cool. All right.
Give him a little treat or whatever he had. And it's pretty fun.
That sounds incredible. Back to bow hunting. Tell us.
Sorry.
No, that's all good. I think it's sick.
Bow hunting, mate. Frothing. It's So I guess my brother-in-law, Toby, I was coming back last year from working over in WA, and I've always wanted a bow. And then he's like, I bought a bow. And he got into it. So I was like, all right, well, I can't be like not having a bow, and he's bow hunting before me. So we're both pretty competitive. So we kind of he got a bow, and then he was about a month before me. And then his other mate, Tom Delaney, he had a bow as well. So we kind of, we've been shooting up at my place or down at Toby's, my brother-in-law. And then, we all headed out to Red Hill and kind of scared a bunch of stuff and didn't really get much. And then the second trip we went out there and we got each. Oh, actually, my brother-in-law got a nice piece. Saw plenty of deer, which was awesome. Not massive numbers, but we saw like enough, like where I was so excited just to actually be seeing those critters in the wild for the first time, and trying to put a couple of stalks on and just scaring the shit out of them basically. But I was just soon from then I was just like done, like, all right, this is like what I want to do. Like every weekend I was like, oh, this weekend looks good, or trying to ring and pick. And he's a good bow hunter, but he does more rifle now, and he's got a bunch of properties, so I'm always pestering him. He hasn't taken me out yet, but I'll get him one day. But so we did Red Hill, and then got some goats, and then I went out to we kind of got a call up. There was a cancellation just right at the end of the rut this year at the Severn River Park, and so we went out there for a few days, and it was pretty good. We got a few opportunities, and I got a nice little spiker, and my brother-in-law got a spiker as well, and then I scared the shit out of a buck. It was a pretty good one. I blew it, but it was a good learning opportunity for sure. It was like super early morning. I was so cold, but I was sitting there, and my brother-in-law was like looking at me. He's pointing. We weren't too far away from each other, and I just seen this set of antlers coming up, and I hadn't ranged anywhere yet, so I was like, oh shit, like I kind of just rushed it. Like I probably could have just ranged it, but it was still so dark. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty close. Like that's like 25, 28 meters. Like, and he just walked in, stopped, and had his head down feeding. I was like, all right, this is I'm on. You know what I mean? So I've drawn back and taken the shot, but he's actually must have been a lot closer. Because instead of hitting, kind of getting a good shot on him, I actually hit his antlers. And he just made the biggest crack, like noise, and I just kind of didn't really know what happened for a second, and then he just kind of just did a little jump, and then just trotted back down this little hill. I stood up and watched him, and he just went back down into his doze and wasn't even phased at all. So
this is a story you've already told me, but
this is the one I told you.
Let's unpack it a little bit more, because this absolutely blew my mind when you first told it to me, because to hear that you hit his antler, it did nothing to the antler, right? Like maybe put a little chip in it, and your broadhead, how did it look?
Yeah, broadhead was like one of the blades was snapped off.
Yeah.
And then my arrow was like in pieces. I was surprised. I actually didn't find it. My brother-in-law, he was walking down. He was like, oh shit, here's your arrow. He's like, did you hit a rock? I was like, no, I hit his antler. And he's like, what? Like, it definitely would have made like a good chink in him. It'd be awesome to find that buck. Like, I guess he would have shed his antlers by next year, but sneak back out there soon and maybe try and get him. It'd be pretty cool to see that and get that same critter.
Yeah, definitely. It just shows how tough they freaking are, right? Like those antlers are so strong, and to think that they grow them and drop them every single year, it's just fascinating that they can even be that hard or that strong.
Yeah, it's wild for sure. Like it made such a crazy, like biggest crack of noise, and it just shows how hardy they are as an animal. Like they're out there thrashing each other around all, the whole rut and beating each other up.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy. Like I'm I'm hooked. I want to get one so bad now. Like, can't wait for the rut next year. All I'm thinking about, I'm like, oh, screw spearfishing, I just want to go hunting.
The bug's been bitten. So tell us about that spiker though. How'd that come about? Like, to be honest, it took me 2.5 years. 2.5 years to get my first deer down. Like, it was not an easy feat at all. Yet you've come in and you started in December and you had your first deer down when?
When was that? Like, what are we now? June? I think it was, when was the rut? March, was it?
April?
So it would have been like, it would have been like April, yeah.
Yeah, far out. So within 6 months,
well,
you knocked your first deer over.
I guess.
So tell us about that spiky. What happened there?
So I picked out this spot actually the day before on the property where I guess this comes into like spearfishing too, you know, being able to pick your environment and, you know, and being able to identify some good areas, you know. I guess that crossover kind of helps, you know. Like, so I was looking and there was like this little patch. It looked like it had been mowed. So I'm like, obviously stuff's coming down and feeding. There was 3 big game trails kind of going through it, heaps of sign. There's like the hill goes up on one side and kind of comes down into a bit of a bowl. So I just set up in the afternoon, pretty tired, and just waited near this dead tree. And then it's like a shitload of roos come down and like kind of surrounded me, but none of them knew I was there. So I was like, oh, this is a bit annoying, can't really move. But this is the day before. A spiker, you see him, watch him come down, doing his strange little trotting along, and he pulled up next to his tree. I'd ranged it, and I drew back, and then he ended up basically bailing. I don't know if he heard me or what he was up to.
Was he looking towards you or anything, or he just ran off?
Yeah, he come down like super sus. Like, he was like doing this weird little prance and then doing it. And then it's like he never really stopped. Like, he was just like, he was doing his thing, like, but moving quite quickly.
And winds were strong in your face?
No, wind was like a crosswind.
Yeah,
so
okay.
it was like kind of coming into I was looking at 12 o'clock and that was the hill coming down. It was coming from my right-hand side, like 3 o'clock, kind of crossing over my right-hand side, going over my back. So kind of over all to my left was, once, you know, the roos would hit a line over that way. They were walking up behind me and they'd catch my wind, but anything coming from in front of me wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just kind of like, he must have kind of just hit that line and he just kind of bailed out. Like, didn't have time to really put a shot on him. And then, so the next day I did exactly the same thing. And actually seen like a mob of about 8 does come down. But they were higher up the hill, and then they hit my wind line and kind of did like a U-turn, spun around, and bailed back up the hill. So I was like, oh shit, hopefully that didn't just blow everything for the afternoon. But next thing, just exactly the same thing. It was a different spiker. He just come down the exact same trail that the one did that the day before did. Basically did an identical thing, but instead of him kind of keep going, he stopped basically next to the tree, one of the trees I'd ranged. So I was actually still sitting down. So I took the shot sitting down, and just drew back and just took my time and put a good shot on him, and he dropped in about 30 yards. So it was perfect.
Had you ever taken a seated shot before that?
Nah, never. So I actually didn't really think my position through, because I was just sitting there. I was like, real nice grass, and then like an old log that had fallen down. So I was kind of just sitting down, laying back on it, and kind of just lounging out. I was like, and he come down like, all right, next time I got to try and think about my positioning a little bit better.
It's actually something that I got warned about pretty early on. Like, make sure you try shooting sitting down, like with one knee down, with 2 knees down, just because there's so many different shot opportunities that will come up like over the years that you just got to be prepared for any of them. Yeah,
my mate actually did. He's a good bow hunter. My mate Adam, he actually was telling me, like, because I was shooting target and setting videos. He's like shoot on like you said, he's like on your knees. He's like crawl in, like shoot on your hips. He's like just anything you can. He goes, because you're going to be half the time, if you're putting a stalk on, like you're not going to be like standing perfectly. Like, oh, I'm just going to position my feet in the perfect spot and take my time. It's going to be a lot more kind of in the moment. So
Yeah.
I've been shooting a lot just like from kneeling.
Yeah. Okay.
And lately, and I've actually been liking it. Like I've been feeling like it's I don't know, it's just in my head, but yeah, shooting kind of better than standing up. But yeah, you can't really stand on your knees all day out in the bush either.
Less sway happening. I actually go to the extent where I'll practice doing it super slow, or not even super slow. It's like practicing trying to be quiet more often. Like when I'm pulling my arrows out of the quiver, I'm trying to make sure that I'm not knocking them, that I'm not banging about or doing too much. Like when I'm actually knocking the bow and then knocking the arrow onto the bow and then also just loading up my my arrow rest, just making sure that it's not a noisy process at all, because it's small things like that that will literally blow a stalk for you. I remember one time I was really close on some reds and I went to pull my rangefinder out and I was holding my wrist release and it was what hit my rangefinder. Like the metal part of my wrist release hit the rangefinder.
Tapped on it,
made a little tink, and that was enough for them just to be like, fuck. And they ran probably like 10, 15 meters, and then they stopped. And I just stayed still for ages. And they just kind of hung out then. They were like, oh no, must just been a tree falling or whatever. Like, I don't know their thought pattern. But yeah, it was just interesting to kind of see that was what ruined that stalk essentially, compared to it being because of wind or something like that. Like it can really just be to any little fault that you come up with.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. There's so many variables, I guess, that can bring you unstuck out there. You can think and put all your effort and time in it, thinking, or for me, like concentrating on one thing, and then you're like, oh shit, it's actually, just my release hitting my rangey that got me. Man, I thought I was dialed in this time, but there's so much to learn. Like, I'm green as I've only been doing it a few months, but that's why it's kind of so exciting to me. It's every little time I go out there, I'm learning something new, or every time I talk to someone, I have a good conversation about it that's been into it longer than I have. I'm trying to take as much as I can out of that, and it's insane. I'm absolutely loving it, especially having that red meat. I'm a big meat eater. I love my fish and my steaks and stuff. So being able to have that kind of stuff that I've got to myself, and then I'm making, doing big cook-ups for friends and family and giving some away. It's so fulfilling. I'm loving it.
Yeah, it really is, dude. It's super cool. It's like you're definitely in it for the right reasons. I like the comparison that you've kind of drawn between the two about finding their environment and then waiting for them to come to you. Like, it's definitely something that I have not been patient enough with when I'm out bow hunting. I'm definitely more of an aggressive approach type of person, I think. But it's literally, it's my next game plan. I think I need to literally just find a spot, sit there for the afternoon. What difference is it really going to make, right?
Yeah, well, I think I actually heard it on your podcast. I forgot the guy's name. I don't know, but it was good advice. Whoever you were, sorry, mate. Can't credit you for it. But the first time I went out, I was just like bulling a china shop, just stamming through, and I was like, looked at my GPS. Like, I've walked like 25 k's today. I'm like, thinking about it now, like, you probably scared everything off the whole block and sent it everywhere up, and you're just like, oh no, there's nothing here. Been there 2 minutes, and it's like another K. Oh no, nothing here. Walk. So I was just trying to last time I went out and just kind of cruise, nice and slow, and kind of spot some areas, and then it's like, all right, like they come, or they don't. But the guy that I was trying to thank before, I think he was saying along the line, that his success rate went up dramatically when he started slowing it down and actually.
I think it might have been one of the Doomsters boys. I actually feel like that was James. Yeah, he was talking about how he would. Yeah, he really slowed down. It's interesting because he often talks to me about one of his other mates that he goes out with hunting, who is also a really good hunter and gets a lot of animals down. And he's the opposite. He pretty much does what you used to do, the running of the mountains to some extent, but obviously knows where the animals are. So, it is one of those things. I think his friend who does that, he also will sit to spot and stalk. And so once he has that that leverage point, or like he finds a leverage point where he can glass from first. He finds the animals, and then he like sprints after them pretty much. So yeah, I think it's finding the tactic that works for your block. The reason why I haven't just sat still on my block is because that's like where the deer always come from is on the mountains. And it's where the wind just swells like crazy. So there's nowhere I can kind of really sit comfortably and not get winded, I think. So, or I don't know, I've never tried it. So I think I need to stop thinking I'm above it and go for it, really.
Yeah, well, I guess, like you said, you're going to be dictated by the environment for sure. And, if you're on a block and you know kind of where the general area where they're going to be, and you can go there and spot them and then put a stalk on, like, man, I'd love to do that every time. And so I hate sitting in the bush, just sitting there like, like counting the leaves. And you're like, oh, I hope something comes. Is it going to come? I should just leave. Maybe I'll go for a walk. And then, 5 more minutes. No, give it 10 more. So, I guess that was only the really second time I've done that. I guess I just got really lucky that something actually did come my way. Like I could do it another 20 times now and probably, I'll chat to you down the line. I'll be like, nah, I'm off sitting there. I'm charging. I'm charging now, but that's all the learning curve for sure, I guess. And I've actually got access now to a block down south of past Coffs that has chittle deer on it. So incredible. I've been down there once, and pretty much as soon as I went over the fence to the guy's property, I saw two, and they were like maybe 200, 300 yards away, and they were just gone. Yeah. And that was the only deer I saw. So I think they're a different kettle of fish. So I think I'll have to do a bit of sitting and waiting for those guys. Yeah, dude.
If you get chance, like go back and listen to the podcast I did with Aidan Doomstis, one of the first ones we did about the chittle deer, and he delves deep into it. But he's like a take a one step glass everything.
Yeah, he's saying 5 steps. I think I listened. He's like, I'll take 5 steps glass, 5 steps glass again. I'm like, man, they sound. But that's like the challenge, That's what's kind of is enticing to me is that just leveling it up, making it hard, like. It's I don't know. But then you kind of banging your head against the wall too, because you want to put that meat in the freezer, and you're spending that time and money away from family, and you're like, no, I'm doing it for the food, and it's like, well, you didn't come back with anything. So
yeah, exactly. That's what the thing. If it was completely for the food, we would definitely be rifle hunters. But at the same time, it just
exactly.
I don't think it would be as fulfilling after going through what you go through as a bow hunter, right?
Yeah, no, definitely not. Like the harder it is, it's better. It's I had a funny one. I was at work one day, and I got a Hoyt sticker on the back of my car, and I bought a Hoyt bow for my first bow, and I put the sticker on my car, all excited. And he came up to me on a job site, and he's like, "Oh, is that your car? You bow hunt?" I was like, "Oh, I only just got into it." He's like, "I've got a bunch of stuff if you want it." I'm like, wow. Sure. He goes, I don't bow hunt anymore. He goes, I just never go, and then so I just rifle hunt now. And he literally brought like a tackle box of broadheads and vanes and glue. I think I gave him 50. I mean, he wanted to. He's like, just have it. And I was like, I'll give it. I think I gave him like $50 for it. But I was like, oh, sweet. I still use the little kit. It's got glues and vanes. And, so
that's crazy.
And then I was kind of like, oh man, you just canned it, I guess. I'm like, I guess that's his. He wants to go out and get meat, but I like the challenge, and I like it both. It's all good.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not a dig against people for rifle hunting. I think
no, not at all. Not at all.
I've actually got friends that still do both, and what they'll do is they'll take the rifle out and shoot a deer straight away, and then they'll bow hunt for a weekend, or vice versa, bow hunt for the whole weekend, and then shoot a deer for the end of the trip, just because it's like they're going for meat, so they go and make sure that they get the meat, but then they also want to experience the bow hunting side of it. So yeah, I don't know. For some people, that's just a scapegoat, but for I don't know, it almost seems practical as well.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to go through my gun license at the moment, and my good friend Jarrah, who I mentioned earlier, like he just goes out and he shoots a lot, and I wouldn't mind going out and if you're doing 3 or 4 days, the first 2 or 3, with the bow, you kind of be able to see where they are and what they're doing, and you might not be able to get close enough or get a shot, but then at least last second or last day, you can, you might know where they are. You just go down there and plug one at the end just for a bit of a Hail Mary, and at least you got something to take home for the freezer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's funny. I go out on so many trips and see more deer than anyone else that goes to the block that I go to. Like the other people being my cousin's husband, but he takes a lot more meat than I do. That's for sure. So pretty much what I've resorted to is going past his place every time afterwards because he always has meat. So he just gives me some. It's almost makes me feel not so bad about it.
Yeah, I was like my mate Jarrah. He'd go out and shoot a bunch, and he'd always give me a yell, and I'd go over to his and help him process them and bag them up and cryovac them and whatnot. And he'd give me some meat, and so then that was kind of more getting me more amped to get out there and get my own, really. So he's always good if I'm running out.
Yeah, definitely. You know what's interesting is talking to people who've never hunted or had anything to do with it, and they're just so blown away with the fact that you butcher the meat by yourself. Like the amount of conversations I've had with people, and like, hold up, so you go out and you kill an animal and then you butcher it yourself. Like you do everything, and it just like they just can't fathom that.
Yeah, I've had run into the similar things like, oh, what did you do? Did you cut it all up yourself? Like, did someone do that? Did someone teach you? And I was like, well, no, it's just something
YouTube.
You kind of got to take on yourself. Like you can look at some stuff, like it's not going to be perfect by any means, but I guess from filleting up, bloody heaps of fish over my life, I'm not scared of having a knife in my hand or giving it a crack. So yeah, definitely not pretty, but yeah, that's only one way to learn, really, is to do it yourself. Like you can look at all the videos and all the rest, and a million times. But once you get out in that field and give it a crack, that's how you're going to learn.
Yeah, definitely. All right, man. It might be a good place to leave it, but I'd like to say thank you very much for coming on. It has been good. It's been awesome to kind of learn a bit more about spearfishing, and I do love the fact that they do kind of intertwine so much. And I think realistically, the more we can get outdoors for men, women, everyone, like you're just going to have a fun life because you're connecting more with what our ancestors did and what's just kind of ingrained in us. So yeah, thanks for sharing your stuff, Jarrah.
No worries. Thanks heaps, Matty. And yeah, cheers for the invite, getting on this platform. It's definitely helped me a lot.
That's awesome.
And I'll definitely continue to listen and learn. And hopefully I can get out bush and go jam some critters with you one day.
Yeah, dude, for sure. So like I said before, your Insta handle, so your personal one is Keep It Tropical. And the one that you've got for the spearfishing...
I've had that one for a while.
The spearfishing is spearfishing_international.
Yeah. So, anyone out there, hit us up. Want to go for a hunt or ever on the coast, have a beer, whatever. Yeah, give us a holler and, take it easy.
Sounds good, man. Thanks heaps.
All right, Matty, you take it easy, mate. Catch ya.
That wraps up this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us, team. If you did have any topics, questions, or you wanted to suggest a guest for Becoming a Bowhunter, you can send me an email at matty@becomingabowhunter.com. If you're enjoying the show or you've enjoyed in particular episodes, please do me a solid and share it around with your friends. If you are not already, please hit the subscribe button, as the more subscribers we get, the higher the podcast gets ranked, and that definitely helps out for showing it to other individuals. If you are not already following me on Instagram, it's at becomingabowhunter.podcast, and on YouTube, it's Becoming a Bowhunter. Get out, team, fling some arrows, get that practice in, and walk those yards in the paddocks until you find those critters. That is it for now, but not the last time that you'll hear from Becoming a Bowhunter.